Welcome back, horror fans, to the Week in Horror Podcast. This week we're covering October 18th through October 24th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Eugene. With me always is Alex and JL.
What's happening?
How's it going, horror fans?
So we've actually made it halfway through October without mentioning the big thing in October, which is Halloween. How did we go so far without talking about this? How?
I think every day for us is Halloween.
Yo, 2020 has just been a fucking one big Halloween.
It has been one big Halloween. It has.
I don't know, the way 2020 is going, like, I won't believe it's Halloween until it's actually Halloween. Like, I feel like it's going to be like October 30th, and the next day's be November 1st, and we have no idea what happened.
Maybe, or it's just going to be like the most normal day of the year.
Like, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen on Halloween because it's been every other day this year.
That would be 2020 surprising us. Like, absolutely nothing happens. Like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's actually a good day. And then, you know, next day, the entire economy collapses or something.
It's felt like that. But I think we've been so hardcore on horror, and, you know, watching horror movies is damn near our job at this point. I think every day for us is virtually Halloween. So when, you know, the actual month, the actual, you know, the holiday that we fucking celebrate, that we look forward to, is coming up, we're just doing shows and not even fucking mentioning it. Oh, you know what I think it is? I think it's the COVID situation.
Yeah.
We'll blame it on COVID.
This whole fucked up situation. And I mean, I haven't even really been thinking about getting trick-or-treaters. Typically, Halloween is a big thing at my house. And I have decorations. I do up the front yard. I myself will dress in costume, and I'll scare the kids, and I'll give them, you know, I give away the good candy.
You don't need to dress in costume to scare the kids, man.
Yeah, of course I do, man. It's fun. It's fucking. I have music playing. I do lights. I do a lot of fun stuff. Halloween is a big thing for me, and this year has been so fucked that I wasn't even thinking about it. And what really got me, there was that story. Did you guys see the story about the guy? I think he's in New York, who created the tube to you know, basically he has stairs the steps that lead up to his front door. And on the banister, on the railing, he attached a tube that he can funnel candy down so that the kids can maintain social distancing.
It's interesting you bring it up because I saw one. It was like a little like carriage thing on like a track, like something real small. And so it was something they'll put the candy in, and then kind of like it would kind of take a string and pull it out to the trick-or-treater grab it, and then they kind of pull it back. But he even had a cup holder for beer, so put a beer and a candy bar in it, and then wheel it out to them so the parent can have a beer also.
I feel like this just sounds like a bunch of fucking super bored dads at home, like, how could I fucking deliver candy without touching the kids? And then you've got the tube to throw candy through. And when you said tube, I got really excited being a dad myself and sitting around thinking about shit like this. I was like, oh yeah, like a potato cannon or a t-shirt cannon. So you could blast the candy at the fucking kids.
The candy goes through the kids.
Here's some milk duds, Timmy. Boom!
I was going to put a caution line on my walkway and just fucking throw them at it. It's just like, here, take this full-size Snickers bar upside the gourd. Ow!
I was just going to use like a howitzer cannon, something like that, old school, loaded up.
When you chuck them at them, you got to make sure that they're full-size candy bars, because then when the parents would be like, why are you throwing? Oh, hey, a big Snickers.
Oh,
okay.
All right, cool.
Size,
cool.
The fuck?
Thank you, son, for taking one for the team.
We're not even mad.
But yeah, it's been nuts. But are you guys planning on doing anything for Halloween? Because I don't think anything is going to go down in my neighborhood.
I don't know. We'll probably end up getting some candy just in case we have some trick-or-treaters. And I know another big aspect we're missing is like the Halloween parties. So I'm probably going to go to a real small get-together with a couple of close friends, but nothing major like in the past.
Yeah.
Our neighborhood is full of very awesome people, and they go all out every holiday, and they have all made it very clear that they're not going to let this stop them. And so there's going to be a big thing in my neighborhood, but I'm not even going to be in my neighborhood. We are going to be down in Austin for Halloween this year, because I'm getting married the day after Halloween. And so we'll be down in Austin, and they've got stuff that's like it's social distancing. There's like sections of a street, I think, that they're going to do like tables. They set it up, and they'll have just one person handing out candy to the kids. It's like 3 tables. I don't know. It sounded like they went way too far thinking about it. But yeah, I mean, we're going to have a bunch of kids with us, so I think we'll just go check out one of those like small. Not that it's like a huge deal. If there is neighborhoods that are doing it, shit, we'll go.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
I don't know.
Nice.
I'm kind of excited to see what Austin's like, but at the same time, like there's going to be a ton of people there. So,
well, whatever anybody's plans are there, especially for all of our listeners, we do hope you have fun this Halloween, but stay safe. Take care of each other. Obviously, practice social distancing. Wear your mask. Obviously, we say mask because it's fucking Halloween, but be safe. Follow health guidelines, and let's try to keep all, especially with so many young ones that could potentially be out. Let's make sure that everybody's doing what they can to keep the kids safe and keep the risk group safe. But I don't want it to spoil anybody's fun. So hopefully Halloween won't take a big hit, like a big hit. There's a couple of stores that are nearby me that are usually at this point, even halfway through the season, are having to restock their candy at this point. And I'm a little concerned because they're not having to restock. So there's still huge amounts. That just means for a fat guy like me, everything's going to be heavily discounted after Halloween. There's going to be plenty left for everybody.
Yeah. November 1st is candy day.
Yes, and I will eat my sadness because there was no Halloween this year.
What you could do is you could have like 3 neighbors or 2, a neighbor on each side, and just have like a bowl of candy sitting outside their thing, and then just take the kid to the 3 houses, 6 times, and then cool. Keep it going.
I would say neighbors get their candy, they're just like throwing them in between the houses. Like, here, I got one of these. We'll do trades.
hey, you got one of those Kit Kats over there? Trade you my Snickers.
Bro, make a giant cannon, stuff all the candy in it, get all the kids in a circle, just blow the candy into the air like a big exploding piñata, and have them just like run around in the circle, and then call that trick-or-treating this year.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just trying to think, because like having kids, I'm like, if you had a kid that had never done Halloween before, because there's a shitload of them right now, that makes up like the biggest group is like the new ones. Like, make something new up. We could change it up. Doesn't have to be
2021 Halloween's going to be crazy because we're going to have the COVID generation.
That's so weird.
Is going to be ready to go. So we're going to have a whole influx of kids, a whole influx of like 1-year-olds and kids just over 1 year old who are going to be going out for Halloween for their first Halloweens. It's going to be fun. But but definitely everyone out there, stay safe. Definitely have fun. And hopefully we'll get through this and get through we'll put this fucking year behind us because god dang, 2020, what are you doing?
What do you mean, man? Take a look back at our lives. We've had, multiple economic collapses, terrorist attacks, wars. And then 2020, our generation is kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, we're numb to it. We're numb to it at this point.
Okay, cool. Yeah, what's next? I don't know.
I think
we've been through
here's something else that's come up, and this is classic 2020. So there's going to be, and this blew my mind when I read it. I don't know how many people out there. Other people might know it as well, but if you don't know, there is going to be a fucking limited series Dexter revival on Showtime.
Goddamn, 2021 sounded better already.
Already.
But the announcement came in 2020. It could be awful. That's what
so
scares
cool,
me.
Though. That's so cool. That's like, it's one of my favorite series of all time, hands down, top 3 probably. And just to hear that it's gonna be something after it left us with what it left us, it was like, fuck, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, at the very least, you get a chance to change the ending.
Yeah, does
true.
his sister roll up on a boat? Does she walk out of like the cabin? Wait,
who?
Huh?
Who did you say?
The dead sister.
Oh, well, you're saying, well, Jennifer Carpenter will be back for the series.
Yeah.
Now, not a lot has been announced about this. We do know that Michael C. Hall is returning as a producer, and he's obviously returning as Dexter. And everybody who was involved in the production team is returning as well to do this limited series. Now, it's been greenlit for 10 episodes that will go into production early next year for a fall release on Showtime. So probably around the summer, probably around June or July, we will get our first trailer. Or our first kind of teaser trailer for the limited series coming
so
up.
far away.
Obviously they're going to pick up from, like the lumberjack ending, which all of us fucking hated. It should have ended with, Dexter dying at the end and going off in the boat and disappearing in the hurricane, because, we've talked about that before, but, I'm 50-50 right now because of 2020 and 2020's fucking track record. I am 50-50 on this announcement. Now, hopefully we get past 2020. Yeah, hopefully we get past 2020 and 2021, the sun will fucking come out and we'll get some amazing stuff because so much stuff is being pushed back into 2020. I don't know what we're going to do. The fucking calendar is just jammed with all the stuff being, being shoved past because nobody wants to fucking touch 2020 anymore. Don't release movies in 2020. Don't do anything. Sit in your fucking house, hide from the horrors of the world, and hopefully in 2021, everything will be better, we hope.
Yeah, because we have the movie theaters. I think it's Regal filed for bankruptcy. Christopher Nolan released Tenet to see if like people would actually start going back to films, and that didn't work. So next year we have like all the big name films that were supposed to come out in 2020, plus the films that are originally supposed to come out in 2021. So maybe at the very least we get a lot of awesome films next year.
Right, and they're fucking
possibly
starting to close down movie theaters, so the way that we view them will be very American. At home.
Oh, that was
on
the
your
saddest
couch.
thing. That was so sad because Steve. I don't know if you guys read it, but Stephen King was talking about he recently went to the theaters because theaters are opening back up in Maine, and he went to the theater, and it was on a Friday night, and there were 4 people in the theater.
Damn.
Yeah, because I went and saw Tenet at the theater at an AMC, and they were showing 4 movies total. Tenet and like 3 other some low budget films. And yeah, it was dead. There were probably 10 people in the theater. And this was easy like Saturday night at like 5-6 p.m., something like that.
That's crazy.
Well, we can definitely say that this pandemic situation, and it's not letting up. It's not going away anytime soon. We can definitely say it has changed the landscape of how we digest entertainment, how we produce entertainment, and the future is uncertain. Luckily that we're roughly unaffected because we podcast, so we have the show. And there's going to be a lot. We've seen a huge influx of shows on, on all the podcast sites. Patreons are going through the roof because this is how people are supporting, the entertainment that they want. Week in Horror, we are trying to, come up with more content that we can put out there to kind of vary up what we do. So it's not just this show. We're going to keep doing this show because we love talking about fucking horror movies, but we're going to try to branch out and do more stuff to try and vary up what we can give to our listeners because we don't know the future of entertainment. We don't know what's around the fucking corner. And we have to make sure that, we can try to fill at least a small bit of that niche and try to give give our listeners, give our audience what they want. And eventually, we'll get into live content. We'll get into, live streaming on YouTube and doing various things like that. But, the future is big for us, but we have to be able to be there and adapt and change so that, because we don't know what, 2021 is going to bring. If all the fucking theaters close, file bankruptcy, who knows what's going to happen? Everything, everything, you guys saw it, everything going straight to VOD.
Yeah.
So what were
great.
what were those 2 movies? What was the 2? The Invisible Man and The Hunt were 2 major big budget pictures that went direct to VOD, and they saw record numbers VOD wise.
Hell yeah, people would rather sit at home and you're gonna get more. It's just I'd rather sit at home and watch the movie.
Because I can control the theater.
As much as I loved going to movie theaters, it was always a pain in the ass. It was always so expensive. The theater was making a ton of money. And so they can give these movies out to the same people for cheaper then we would have to pay, but they're actually still making money because the theaters screw you over so bad. Like they'll upcharge the ticket. You know, I'd rather pay like, cool, I can get it at my house. I'm willing to pay $15 to have it at the house, and you know, or even 20 if you can get a couple of people together and save everybody. Because I easily, with kids, we easily spend $100 when we go to the theater. So it's like, just get it to the people and make a profit. Fucking cut out the middleman. You get more people watching it. They're saving money. You're still making money. The theater doesn't make sense anymore. Now people,
you know, what if theaters become solely like nostalgia houses,
kind of like maybe drive-in theaters or something like that.
You got it. Yeah, exactly. Like, because the last time I went to the theater, the best thing, like I had the most fun at the theater when I went to Studio Movie Grill, and we went to see Labyrinth. That was amazing. And they showed Labyrinth, and before Labyrinth they showed 2 episodes of Jim Henson's The Storyteller. So we got 2 episodes of The Storyteller, and then we got Labyrinth up on the big screen. That was fucking worth it.
Okay, but like, you know, Studio Movie Grill was the shit. If there was going to be one place that survived, it'd be that place. Have you ever had their fucking coconut chicken tenders?
Well, I had a lot of their food. Their food is decent. I don't go there for the food. I go there to have a meal while I'm eating.
The coconut breaded chicken tenders, man. They were the best thing in the fucking world. And I would go there for like lunch specifically for those. And then I'd watch a movie because it was like, fuck it. Like you could just have these bomb ass chicken tenders and watch a movie and go back to what you're doing.
No, that's what the Titty Club is for.
I know. That might be the only kind of place that would survive.
Although avoid the lobster. Avoid the lobster.
Always avoid cheap lobster.
Don't ever eat seafood at a movie theater.
And see, the thing is, like, every time I go to a Studio Movie Grill, I have like such a bad experience, not like service wise or anything like that, but I'll have like when I went to see The Force Awakens and the scene where like the X-Wings are coming over the water, and I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. I can't wait. I've been waiting for this since I've seen the trailer. And the guy walks up, stands in front of me, is like, is these your onion rings? And I was just like I was like, no, just go. No, I didn't. And the worst thing is I didn't even order onion rings at all.
They weren't even my fucking onion rings.
It wasn't.
Thanks, Kevin.
I'd have been so pissed. I'd have been so pissed I'd have taken them. Like, those are mine.
Yeah, that's it. But you know,
if I can't see my fucking X-Wings, I'm taking the goddamn rings.
You took my X-Wings, I'm going to take these rings.
You got any fucking dipping sauce for these bitches?
But you know what? This is a movie podcast, and though we can chat about theaters all night, people are here for the horror films. So let's go ahead and dive into it. And Alex, what do we have first?
We have...
Man, God damn you, Gene. Just fucking segue that shit, man.
You will talk about the movie next. Now!
You're like, listen, man. I got a bedtime.
Listeners would be like, wait, we were on an interesting... Where were they going with that? Oh, shit, we're going to hear about fucking movies.
You're going to have to leave a little time mark. If you don't want to hear us talk, go to 30 or 9 minutes and...
Go to this one. What we do is we continue the conversation in pieces on every episode. So people go, well, damn it, now I got to wait for the next episode to hear what happened at Studio Movie Grill.
Actually, here's an interesting question. Before we get started, Alex, let me pose something to the audience. For anybody out there, let us know in the comments or hit us up with an email, weekinhorror@gmail.com.
Or show up at JL's house in your underwear with a sign.
Would you like to hear us maybe dish, not as long as Week in Horror, but maybe for like 30 minutes or so? Would you like to hear the three of us kind of dish on like what's going on in the horror industry, or like maybe the entertainment industry, like what's going on with movies or things like that? Would you like to hear something like that where we're just kind of, as professionals, just kind of like talking about what's going on, just the various things that we might predict, or the things that we lament we've lost because of the situation. If you'd like to hear us just talk about the industry, just talk about things going on and stuff like that, just kind of like we were just doing, let us know. Let us know in the comments or hit us up, weekinhorror@gmail.com. That might be something we could be interested. We call it like State of Horror or something like that.
Ooh.
I'm kind of curious, but I'd like to hear what the audience thinks about that. But yeah, fucking Alex, take it away, man.
All right,
you're ready and raring to go.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So first movie we got up tonight. American Mary came out October 18th, 2012. Thank you.
You were 12, right?
What? Fuck you. I had to think about it. I was like, wait a second. No, I would have been fucking 20. I was 22. in college. Anyways, directed by the Soska sisters, Jen and Sylvia Soska, written by the same people. This movie stars Catherine Isabel, Antonio Cupo, Tristan Risk, David Lovegren, Paula Lindbergh, Clay St. Thomas, John Emery Tracy. Actually, there's about 15 more. You guys ready? No, I'm just kidding. And the Soska sisters were actually in this, and their parents were also in this movie. Fun fact, their parents sold their house or mortgaged their house or something to pay for this movie and got to make a cameo in the movie for it. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, this movie was awesome. By the way, JL, thanks for throwing this one in there. I hadn't seen it before.
You're very welcome.
It's a body modification movie in sorts. A medical student gets all edgy and does something against any medical advice or rules. You should never, ever break these rules. But does some underground surgery. I'm sorry, she was in medical school, and then she got lured into doing underground surgeries, essentially, and then into extreme body. There's a whole rape situation, and takes revenge on her attackers. And I'm like in the movie, I'm like thinking about it because I just watched it yesterday, and so I was like going through the whole movie. It was crazy. So, anyways, medical student gets raped and tries to take revenge on her attackers by severely modifying their bodies while doing underground surgeries on the side for a shitload of cash.
Yeah, we talk about severe body modifications.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This movie was so fucking weird, you guys. Like, can we just talk about how fucking weird this movie was? Like,
we can.
Oh, yeah, that's why we're here.
I'm like trying to describe this movie.
The Soska sisters are known as the Twisted Sisters, so yeah.
It was fucking insane. But like, so this Betty Boop looking bitch walks in. It's like, hey, you want to fuck some shit up? And then she does, and it's intense. But yeah, just cutting that one dude fucking it was insane. I really enjoyed this. Anyways, sorry.
It's wild. The thing that now, despite the graphic, I say
so graphic.
Because you don't want to call it, because you really can't call it violence, because it is about body modification. It's about extreme body modification surgery, and obviously, some of the stuff is highly controversial. There's no doctor worth their salt or would do these kinds of things, because many of the things that people ask them to do they're irreversible. Just like the girl who wanted to be turned into an actual like a living doll. So for psychological reasons like this in real life, they don't surgeons don't do this kind of shit. But of course in this movie, Mary, she needs the money and she happens to be very, very good, so she is going to do these things.
How the fuck do you know? This is probably pretty closely based on true events.
Well, that's the thing, is that's what got me the most about this. American Mary is an extreme example, like very extreme. Although I have no doubt in this country, given the state of our education system, that there are people who do these things in order to make. I mean, girls working the pole to get through school, that's a common thing. That's so common that it's ceased to be funny, because you can make a hell of a lot more as a stripper than you can in a 9-to-5 while you're trying to put yourself through law school or medical school or even college in general. When you don't have money to fall back on, you got to make some serious cash.
You're talking like we go into the education system and they're like, pay us $50,000 or get the fuck out like 3 days after we get out of fucking high school. Oh wait, no, that's actually how it is. Okay.
Oh yeah, that actually that is. I mean, first of all, it says something about our society as a whole, how college has gotten to the point where people are going to extreme measures to pay for college. But that's also what makes it kind of the premise relatable and believable, the fact that that situation exists.
Well, and you hear in the news too, something that I actually was learning about recently was there's people that like, I mean, we're in 2020, and this is an actual article I'm just quoting. So it said, like, I identified as an amputee, so I had my arm cut off. And, like, this lady had apparently gotten her arm amputated because she felt that that's how she was supposed to look. Which, it's, you say controversial, that's like, that's the most controversial it can get. You can't tell somebody what they, can and can't do, but also, like, the person doing the act is going to be held reliable if there's any like legal consequence to it. So like that was a whole thing that you see in this for sure, with wanting something done to your body, but the traditional doctor is not going to do it. And I feel like that's probably, I've seen more of it recently than, and when I was looking into it, there's been a lot more of it recently. People will go and get like their body extremely modified underground, and you hear about the horror stories, but there's probably a ton of successful underground surgeries done every day, not only in the United States, but all over the world.
Oh, definitely. And that's the thing that got me is, as if you set aside the graphic nature of the surgical procedures that are being done, it's a very, very bloody and graphic film. Because this is underground, unlicensed, body modification stuff. So, all kinds of crazy shit that you can imagine. And what got me was how real that this could potentially be. So for some reason, going into this film was kind of like it not only Catherine Isabel's performance, but the film was very grounded in a reality I didn't anticipate. Because you think about this, like, this shit doesn't fucking happen, but you get older and you realize what's going on, and that really kind of freaked me out. That people are almost forced into this kind of lifestyle, doing things that are consensual. This, she's not going out and doing it to be. This is not like fucking Captain Howdy, going out and kidnapping people and doing this shit to them. Like, I'm gonna kidnap you and give you a fucking ampelang. No, it's not like that. These are people who come to her because the mainstream medical community will not give them what they want. And so, like, no self-respect, no mainstream plastic surgeon is going to cut your fucking arm off if your arm works just fine, but you feel like, you shouldn't have your arm. I know that there's an actual disorder named, I know it's a form of body dysmorphia, but, limb dissociation or something like that. But
sounds about right.
But she does, but there are people that are willing to do these things, and they're safe, and they know what they're doing, and it's just, it doesn't, kind of bode, or it doesn't really sit well with the actual medical community. Definitely not AMA certified shit. And it was freaky because it was almost kind of like a door kind of opened up, and it's like, holy shit, this shit goes on. That people are out there doing these things because of how fucked up our system is. And it came off very much like art imitating life. And I think the s2e4 sisters did really, really well in capturing the essence of basically the broken, or I wouldn't say the broken system forces people to adapt in ways that can break them. And the twisted system makes reinforces twisted responses to try and survive within that system. And it struck me a little bit harder from a kind of a gritty reality aspect. It may not have been intentional. Maybe the s2e4 sisters weren't going for that. You look at their other filmography that's typically not with they don't really go for deeper messages. But I think there was something there. I think they maybe just wanted to do extreme, and they kind of glommed onto something that's really real, which kind of freaked me out a little bit.
And that's something, a lot of great horror films actually kind of dive a little bit into society and what's going on. Because this one talking about like the medical industry on top of extreme body modification, because you'll have like the previous film, you have dead hooker in a trunk. Yeah, like that. Like, yeah, like there you go. It's pretty straightforward on top of that. And they've also done a couple other things, a part of the ABCs of Death 2. And then See No Evil 2 also. And so a lot of their other stuff is just straight, like, it's going to be straight horror, but I think this is why American Mary kind of stands out to me a little bit of it, because
it seemed like they're filmed with with the most, for lack of a better term, they're filmed with the most soul. There was legitimately a story to tell here, or something to say. I've always liked Kevin Smith's line in Chasing Amy, because I finally had something to say, because that's what Kevin Smith has always said about Chasing Amy. Is like Clerks was always just kind of like a one-off. He was kind of like, I'm just kind of recounting my life. Mallrats was just slapstick fun. But with Chasing Amy, Kevin Smith always said, I finally had a story to tell. I had something I needed to say, and that was Chasing Amy. Arguably, probably his best work. And I think with this one, what the s2e4 sisters have worked on, Dead Hooker in a Trunk, ABC's of Death 2, in the new Rabid that just came out last year.
The Rabid,
the remake of Cronenberg's horror, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know, because I know that was something they were working on. I didn't know if it ever came out, though. I never saw it.
Oh yeah, yeah. They did. They produced, directed, wrote, and I think they had small roles in that.
It's got CM Punk in it too.
It's so weird that you bring him up. I'll touch on him in a second. But then and
I bet you will.
Given their filmography, and they've done some really, really good stuff, and they're still going strong, and I do hope to see more of them. I really want to see a s2e4 Sisters, Vicious Brothers team up. That would be kind of cool. But I think American Mary was probably the strongest work so far. I thought it was better than Rabid because Rabid was a remake of the David Cronenberg film. I just think American Mary had something to tell, and it was topical.
And see, going back to that point we talked about with Kevin Smith and Chasing Amy, a lot of times as a filmmaker, your first movie, you have such limited means and limited funds, like Clerks. I mean, Clerks are shot in black and white because it's cheaper. A lot of people dive into the fact, some artistic. No, it was cheaper than shooting in color. And so you very, very limited in what your locations and your actors and all sorts of kind of stuff that you can do. So when you actually get a film or two and you're starting to hit $1 million, a couple $1 million for your budget wise, you can actually start telling stories that you want to tell. And I think that's what happened with American Mary. You got your first film in, you prove that you can complete it and people like it. You can make a good film. Now they can make the film they want to make.
Well, see, that's actually really funny because, number one, because Catherine Isabel, I love her to death, and I love her in everything she's done. But she's predominantly known very well in Canada. She's a Canadian actress, and they wrote the part of Mary for Catherine Isabel specifically for her. But the script for American Mary was written while they were trying to sell their film Dead Hooker in a Trunk, and this film, American Mary, while I think topical as regards to the situation of our education system and our tuition system and everything, the film itself actually mirrored some of the experiences that they had while they were getting started in the film industry. Some of the sleazier people that initially come off as reputable, but then they turn out that they're complete fucking slime balls. That is a common thing, especially in fucking Hollywood. You can have a film career in Canada and never deal with Hollywood, but they did deal with the American version of the film industry, and it can be downright dark and very, very gross. And you can see a lot of that coming out in American Mary, because many of the characters, they start off reputable and they seem a certain way, but then once you get past the surface of it, they're just as shitty as the fucking worst you could find. So, like I said, I think it was a story that they finally had a story to tell, and I really fucking enjoyed it. And it's like you said, Alex, it's a sleeper hit. This was a really fun. It was a fun movie. It was graphic as fuck. Catherine Isabel is amazing in the role.
It was good. It took me because it opens up with she's doing surgery on the turkey. Then you kind of get into it for a second. I'm like, all right. And then things start happening pretty quick. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you get to the point, it's like, wow, this has gone fucking way underground. This has
gone to a new level.
I hadn't had any previous. I just opened it up and watched it. I didn't know anything about it. And I was like, okay, this is fucking insane. It was just the things that it was oh, we want to swap left arms and put horns in. And it's what the fuck is wrong with people?
I like my arms.
Why would you swap your left arms? What the fuck?
Human expression is pretty intense. What was it? Now, the s2e4 sisters themselves were in this. They played
the twins.
Who the fuck? The demon twins?
Yeah, the ones that wanted the horns and swapped their left arms.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, it was fucking.
And then the fucking doctor in this, the doctor's name is Dr. Alan Grant.
Alan.
And so I hear it, and I was like, this is some alternate timeline that Dr. Alan Grant from Jurassic Park ended up being a shithead.
Something that has to be said about this production is that all of the effects were practical.
Yes.
or the patients were members of the real life body modification community.
Yeah, like the dude that was hanging on the hooks and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were no special visual effects, no CGI, nothing at all done. Everything was done in camera, which is pretty damn impressive. And I did like that it went for that. It showed it kind of like the episode of the X-Files, like the episode I think it was Humbug, where you got a glimpse into the sideshow, or I'd say the geek show, or what they used to call a freak show. And they cast real members of the actual traveling sideshows. Like the Enigma and the Blockhead, stuff like that. I like that when individuals, like unique, very, very unique, very special individuals are given their shots like this. And that was cool seeing this kind of brought forward. Unlike in Strangeland, where this was all, special effects and various stuff like that. These are legit individuals who do this stuff, which I thought was really, really cool.
Okay, so that's weird that you mentioned X-Files. Did you know that Catherine Isabel did special effects work on the X-Files?
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
She won 2 Emmys for it.
Huh. Good for her.
Which she herself was doing the effects?
When I was looking into her, it just said she was an art director and production designer who had won 2 Emmys. What? Oh no, I fucked that up, man. I read that totally wrong. No. Yeah, no, that's right. I wrote it down even.
Huh.
You sure about that?
I'm trying to look it up real quick.
Uh,
I'm not seeing that because let's see, she was doing TV. Let's see.
It was her.
Yeah, she was in Schizogeny
No, I totally fucked that up.
in the X-Files, and she was in one episode of the X-Files. But she's been in she was in an episode of MacGyver, if you can believe that.
No,
she's been in X-Files. She's been in TV since '89, but her first movie was 1989.
I'm admitting to you that I fucked up. It was her mom or dad that was the art director.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I should really go to that fucking eye doctor appointment. That was terrible and super embarrassing.
But the Soska sisters have a very, very eclectic, I would say, filmography. And considering the fact that I think they were in, what was it? They were in Josie and the Pussycats and the Fantastic Four, which is kind of odd given their kind of image, which I think is really, really cool. But yeah, some really interesting stuff in there. Some interesting stuff. I like their darker. I like their more horror, centric work.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because it looks like they kind of got like maybe try acting for a little bit, and then they're just kind of like, you know what, we're just gonna go make our own stuff that we want to make.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's what good film directors do.
Exactly.
But anyways, we've talked about a bunch of their films, and as you just mentioned, Fantastic Four being in there. That kind of blows my mind. But anyways, I want to ask the audience, what's your favorite Soska Sisters movie? There's not too many of them, but there are mostly, all of them are pretty good.
Dead Hooker in a Trunk.
Dead Hooker in a Trunk.
I love that title.
It's pretty sweet.
Of course, I watched this movie and saw that one as one of their other movies and immediately had to watch that one afterwards. So I've caught up on some of their movies. Cool, but yeah, let us know. weekenhorror@gmail.com or leave a comment. All right, JL, let's move on to some demonic shit.
Yes, we have a particularly creepy and scary one. Released October 21st, 2014, The Taking of Deborah Logan. So yes, directed by Adam Robitel and written by Gavin Heffernan and Adam Robitel, starring Jill Larson, Anne Ramsey, Michelle Ang, and Ryan Cutrona. The film follows a group of teenagers shooting a documentary, which is always the one thing you don't want to do in a fucking horror film these days, because all these teenagers want to shoot documentaries, and they are documenting a woman named Deborah Logan who suffers from Alzheimer's, and they end up uncovering something profoundly sinister going on as Deborah begins to exhibit strange behaviors and other horrifying shit in the process of shooting their documentary. This is a found footage film for those who have not seen it. And while it's one of the few that actually, in the deluge of found footage, this is one of the ones that actually got my attention and held my attention. I didn't get bored with it during the entire run. I don't mind. I thought it was because it did the exact same thing that other successful found footages have done, like the Blair Witch Project, like Grave Encounters, like Paranormal Activity. These one, the Taking of Deborah Logan relied on not showing everything. Like there's a transformation that's taking place through the film, and they don't show a ton of it until, of course, that epic scene at the end, which you do not anticipate. You don't expect that shit. It's just still kind of I remember the first time I saw it, it was like, what the fuck? Anyway. But yeah, I think there was the one thing that they did well. And I think it's the one thing that works in found footage. And I think that, it's one of the things, I think one of the rules for it should be don't show everything. Allow your audience's imagination to work up the tension and fill in the gaps to what they think might be there. Because all the films that I named previously, they've all taken advantage of that. And I think it's because when you want to simulate the camera being in front of your audience, right? You want the camera to be right there. And that's what they're experiencing. So you won't see everything. You may glimpse shit. Because you're seeing through the camera, you're seeing through the lens, but you don't want to see everything. That's been the successful thing. You show everything in found footage, that's where it falls apart. But this one was a serious fucking creeper. A really, really solid possession film that took some turns I didn't anticipate.
It really did. And we talk about not seeing everything because in a real situation, say as them like you're documenting and stuff starts going crazy, you're not going to get everything. You're not going to have the perfect shot every single time because, they're running around and they're scared for their lives and they're trying to investigate and, the camera bouncing up and down. They're just trying to get what they can get. So it gives you the leeway of not showing like a lot of the transformations, a lot of the stuff happening off screen. And that kind of sells that. If they're able to show every single thing, say something like Cloverfield, for example, that shows like pretty much everything on it, it becomes kind of unrealistic because if you just want to show everything, you might as well just film like a regular movie.
That I would have put it in those words exactly. You may as well just shoot a normal movie and just dump the found footage trope.
Yeah, I mean exactly. But I've noticed we've been talking about a lot of found footage movies the last couple of episodes too. I guess they just keep coming up. But I mean, this is one that it executes it very well. It builds up to a nice climax. I think we all know the scene that we're talking about in the cave.
You want to talk about fucking leaving marks? There's some things that will never escape the image of your mind. And I'm watching that movie alone in my fucking room, and I was in high school, and I'm sitting there watching it in my room. I'm already fucking scared because this movie's just like super tense. And then that scene comes on, and there's this woman eating a child's head like a snake, and that image is forever burned in my fucking mind, and it terrifies me to this day. I still have fucking nightmares from that shit. I hate that movie so much that I love it.
I remember seeing it myself, and while it's creepy as fuck, I still have no idea how the thing was going to get past her shoulders.
It's the question arose, yeah, absolutely. But the effects and just the pure shock of that moment. Well, I don't know. Fuck that.
Yeah, you don't see it coming.
You don't expect that at all.
Freaking wild. And it's so arresting that I saw the GIF making its way around Facebook and Twitter. That people just made a GIF of that one moment and have put it out there. Of course, it spoils a big scene in the movie. But then again, there might be people that see it and go, "What the fuck is this from? I have to see it." And then they'll go and check out the movie. But it was freaking wild. And yeah, I think they really capitalized. I think Robitel really, really capitalized on not showcasing everything, that very much allowing the tension to build itself and allowing the viewer to fill in the blanks with their imagination. What's in your head is always far, far worse than what they show on the film, which is why, that harkens back to Jaws. You don't show the shark until you need to show the shark. Or Steven Spielberg's Duel. You never saw who was driving the truck. There was someone driving the truck, and he had boots. You saw his boots, but you never saw the man. So the truck was as much the villain as the driver behind it. So it really became about the truck. And this is a classic Spielberg technique, and it works. I think it's the only thing that makes found footage work, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that, because also every time you see the villain becomes a little bit more. It becomes a little bit more real. We're so afraid of the unknown, so every time you see the villain, you learn something about him, and he kind of becomes less scary.
Yeah.
On top of that, now some villains. I mean, they're still kind of scary. But you take a movie like, say, the Blair Witch. The Blair Witch is scary, and you never see the witch.
No, you don't. That movie actually freaked me the fuck out. I saw it in theaters. I saw it like at the Inwood. And
so did the Inwood.
Yeah, that one. It was so fucking crazy because when we went there, you could go into the front, but you had to exit out the side. You couldn't go back through the front of the theater, and right. You had to exit outside. They had that the back exit, the rear exit of the Inwood led out into this little like kind of alley pathway that led back out to the street. They'd done up the whole area like the forest. In Blair Witch with all the little fucking things hanging on. Yeah, that was so. Because we was like, it's so dark, and then we go into this area, and it looks, you're out there on the street. It's freaking Inwood. You're off of Inwood Road, and we go out there. It's like, holy shit! It looks forested, and then the fucking the figures hanging from the trees are like hanging all the way. That was just
that's an idea for either a horror film or a horror, or like some kind of thing where you go and you sit through a horror movie that scares you, and then you exit the movie into a haunted house.
Yes,
that'd be dope.
That's kind of an interesting concept.
All right, theater people, you want to save your business.
There is some another thing that got me, and I think I really, really dug about this one was it took a respectful but very, very solid look at a real horror in this world, and that is
old
Alzheimer's
people.
Disease.
Oh,
was what people?
Old people.
Old people. They smell like tuna and Metamucil. No, but the terror of Alzheimer's, and I gotta hand it to Jill Larson. She knocked that out of the fucking park. That it was not just the possession horror, not just what she was turning into, but the concept. But Deborah Logan herself, the character herself, slowly degenerating away into just that void that Alzheimer's creates, and that was the most scary aspect of the film to me, because I have known people who have Alzheimer's. I've known people who have died from it, and I've spoken with their families, and it's so flipping scary. It freaks me out. It does not run in my family, Alzheimer's, so I know that my family will never experience, or most likely will never experience it. I can't imagine what goes through the minds of people that have to, and to see the slow erosion of the people that they knew, that's just fucking crazy to me.
It's scary. You're talking about anything with the human brain itself, because that's who you are. Everything about you as a person sits up there, and when it becomes damaged, it becomes degraded. It's scary. I had an aunt that had a really bad stroke, and she survived, but she lost a lot of motor skills and the ability to speak. And the doctor said the thing about her, because she's a very intelligent woman, and the thing about her is her thought process is still 100%. Like, she's still all there, and she's very smart, and she can come up with complex ideas, and she has no way to communicate them out, because she can't put that, the brain can't transfer her thought into words to say. And she knows that.
It's the scariest part, is because you're like, it's some of it, you could be trapped in your own body. Alzheimer's is absolutely no joke. And unfortunately, there's like 3 million cases a year. And And that's a lot, and that sucks because that many people are suffering from something that's not. Your brain cells are wasting away; they're dying, and so if it starts in a part of the brain, that you use to talk, and then everything else is still working, that would be terrifying. That's horror in itself. Imagine being totally being able to use your full body, and then like, okay, well, you can't remember where the bathroom is and your right arm stops working, and it's like that just happens as it slowly gets worse and worse until you go into a complete demented state or die, and it sucks. And that's like something that a lot of research has been going into recently, and they're making progression, but it's something that's very real, and it happens to a very large population. Unfortunately, it's hard to watch. Like you guys both said, somebody that has it. It's terrible to watch. I've been around it in multiple different people, and it's scary to see people that were once a person are now just stuck in a husk, and it sucks.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do.
Not only for them, but for their families. Because there's nothing you can do.
No, there's nothing you can do. That part of your brain is gone. And, they're working on trying to find out ways to stop it early detection. There's medications I know that really help with that now. But it has to be early, They don't know how, you can't reverse it. You can't, not yet at least, So it's like, once it's gone, it's gone.
Fingers crossed for the gene therapy that most likely they will come up with in order to help it, because it is a genetic disorder.
Right.
Hopefully they'll be able to knock that out. But that, I will give it to her, man.
Trying to purvey that, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jill Larson, I don't know what kind of personal experiences she has had, or what she has studied in order to convey that, but it was one of the scariest portrayals of Alzheimer's I've seen. And one of my favorite shows, I watch it with my wife, is Grey's Anatomy, and they've dealt with Alzheimer's on that show multiple times, and it's always very, very sad. But this one, I think, captured the horror of it, and just it's so, and it was almost too real, but that just grounded the film even more for me. So a very unique take, or a very, very powerful take on some very serious issues, throw in a little bit of supernatural horror, and
then she really eats Kara.
Poor Kara, I swear. But yeah, for those who haven't seen it, yeah, this one's a real shaker, a really unexpected shaker when it comes to horror. It got me on two fronts, because the unexpectedness of what you were going to see, my imagination playing havoc and kind of filling in the blanks, and it always makes it freakier, and of course the real horror of seeing someone slowly lose everything, their entire lives just slowly but surely eroding away like fucking sand in the wind, and there's nothing you could do about it, and just it's scary to me. So it works on multiple fronts. Very, very I think underappreciated little horror gem, especially in the found footage genre.
Absolutely.
Check it out.
So here's the thought. Here's a question for the audience. And I know a lot of you don't like found footage, but this one is a rare one if you haven't seen it. Definitely give this one a look. But those who have seen it, if you have seen this film, we'd like to know what point in that movie scared you the most. Because, we talk about, we actually hit us on multiple fronts, that why this movie was scary. We want to know what scared you the most about the film. Let us know in the comments or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. All right, Eugene, you got our next one. What do we got?
I kind of dove into it just a little bit when I talk about watching a horror film, and then you go out to like a real horror like environment, like a haunted house or something like that. It kind of plays off this a little bit. But the next film we have was released October 21st, 2016, and that is Fear Inc., right? And it was directed by Vincent Mascasino?
Vincent Mascali.
Vincent Mascali. Okay, I got the rest of the names, but Vincent Mascali. And it stars Lucas Neff, Caitlin Stacy, Chris Marquette, Stephanie Drake, Mark Moses, and it actually has a small appearance of Abigail Breslin. 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 I was almost.
Jesus.
What is it, Alex?
What?
Yeah, did you just say Jesus?
I just said Jesus. That's a thing.
I need to take a course on just pronouncing names. If they have one of those, please comment below.
They do. You can highlight it, Control C, and then drop it into Google Translate, and it'll say it out loud for you.
That's what I have to start doing. That's what I have to start doing now. But
Just before you practice it in the mirror, it's Schauf. Schauf.
But we have it's basically kind of like a nice meta horror film, and you have a horror movie buff Joe and his girlfriend Lindsay, and Joe's kind of looking to he's kind of looking to up the ante. He does a haunted house, he sees horror films, but nothing really scares him. So he comes across this card from a company called Fear Inc. that offers the true horror experience, guaranteed to scare anybody. So he calls them up, and then things get radically out of control.
No, they don't.
Oh no, they just have a nice newscast of, hey, by the way, you just killed 4 people out in front of your house. And then you look outside and there's no newscast going on.
I'm sorry, this movie was so fucking hilarious. Did it even get good reviews?
I think it got like let me see. It's like a 5.6 on IMDb out of 10, like 50%.
It was great. I did not know what to expect when watching this movie. Again, just turned it on and I was watching it and I was like, okay, this is fucking hilarious. And then, it's like, oh my God, and twist and twist and twist. And then you get to the end and you're like, well, fuck. I didn't know how to feel about the ending.
Yeah, it was that one kind of took me by surprise.
It was a surprise. It was a huge twist.
What I really dug, something I really, really dug about this film, and very, very familiar, was obviously the Abigail Breslin scene, because the movie opens with Abigail Breslin and kind of sets the stage for what's really going on with Fear Inc. with the people who work for the company. But that was definitely a hallmark, or basically a throwback to the opening of Scream.
It was totally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Straight up.
You take a major actress, a bit, I would say Abigail Breslin's A-lister at this point. Take an A-list actress, put her in the very beginning of it, and then smoke her within less than 5 minutes.
Just done.
So yeah, I did like that, and there were a lot of hallmarks to some of my favorite ones. There were hallmarks to Scream, hallmarks to Friday the 13th.
I like when he calls him out. He's just like, "Oh yeah, it's from this movie."
and that's what's kind of cool. That's why I really, really like this, and I wanted us to talk about it, because Joe is a horror buff that makes us look like stupid.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and you could go into like talking about like why does he want to be scared? You could go into like the psychological aspect of like this person, because he's great in this. It's like it's Joe. He's Joe in this, and then he's like, you made me kill my friends.
He was in Raising Hope.
Yes. He's great.
Yes.
But he plays this role very well. And it's just the thought process behind this guy not being scared of anything anymore. It's like, well, fuck, man. Like, what would you do to go that far? Would you do that? And I'm like, that seems kind of extreme. But at the same time, like, that's like something that I might partake in if I couldn't get my kicks from just watching movies alone in the dark.
Well, I think you get to a point where horror movies so well, you can almost get to the point you can anticipate things. You're like, oh, based on the cutting, the jump's going to be here, creature's going to come out there, this person's going to die based off of the context, how the scene has already started. When you get to that level where you're almost you're basically like reading the film before the film's even showing you exactly what happens.
But that's something that I know we all can do now. Like, we've watched so many movies, it's like it's going to follow this trope. But then, like, this movie, like, threw a twist in, and you're like, oh my God, that was cool. And then, like, another one, and it was like, holy shit, you got me again. And then you get to the end of it, and they're like, another one, and you're like, oh, whoa. So it's different. I mean, like, it's good. It's good in the fact that it, like, it takes, like, a lot of things that are very familiar, and you're going to be able to guess what's going to happen. But then they twist it the right way. a lot of movies that try to throw in twists like that. What a twist! But throwing twists like that, it's like, okay, I fucking saw that coming. And then you get this one, and it's like, wow, they did fucking great job with that one. And then they hit you again and again, and it's like, what the fuck? But then, like, the ending is like, well, is it just like a fucking alternate loop, or like, is it? I don't know. It was cool.
It was cool. It was cool because it played a lot on, is this real? Is this what's going on? Is it a joke? So you'll have a scene where,
especially when you have like fucking Leslie Jordan as the voice of the operator. I mean, I love him in everything he does. He was fantastic in Alan Tudyk's Con Man that was on Amazon Prime. I think it was on Vimeo. Now it's on Amazon Prime. And of course, he was in American Horror Story. He was in Coven.
Yeah.
But just his short little. Oh, and he was also in Roanoke. But his whole like, oh my goodness, yeah, I love him so much. I love him to death. He is so hilarious. And you throw in little aspects like that. Not to mention the kid from The Sandlot.
Yeah, dude. He's the one that gives him the fucking butt. Hey, you want to get your rocks off? Call these motherfuckers. All right. Thanks, dude. That I swear I've seen before.
You're right. No one should be afraid of him. And I've always been a fan of Chris Marquette ever since, was it The Girl Next Door? Aren't you a little young to skip film school? Shut the fuck up!
God, this movie though, just jumping from like just pulling stuff from Scream and Friday the 13th, and then like Saw, even Final Destination when the cop gets smoked by the truck.
Oh yes,
after they get pulled over,
the highway scene.
Yeah, he gets pulled over. They've got a fucking body in the trunk.
Well, that was the big thing, and Alex, you kind of touched on it a little bit. Is Joe's search for fear? I can sympathize with the character a bit, and I kind of connect with him. That I've seen so many horror films, and I've seen many of them multiple times, and over time you do get to a somewhat level of desensitization to everything that you're watching. I know that in a way we are somewhat desensitized. At this point, I could watch 120 Days of Sodom, or I could watch Salo, or a Serbian film again, and it would not hit me the way it hit me, the first time I watched it. And Joe is kind of, I can sympathize with that. Joe's kind of in that same situation, because he, like many of our fans, like many of our listeners, many of the horror community, many members of the horror community, they need that catharsis. And just like any other kind of,
I'm so sorry, JL. I'm so sorry. I'm imagining, because you were talking like you can sympathize, so I was imagining you playing Joe in this movie, and it fucking works. It fucking works. Especially the scene where they're all sitting behind the table, or between the table and the couch, and they're like, "We gotta go to the car," and the dude Joe jumps out and like does the roll, rolls. He's like, I'm like, "Fuck yeah, JL, you could do that." It's like,
well, I could certainly see why. That would be a fun role to play. I know that Lucas Neff had fun in this.
It would work. Sorry.
But that's the big thing. Joe needs that catharsis. He needs that release. And that's why, and he's so desperate for it. That's why he does not see the danger before the danger shows up. It starts off, it's a big gag. His friends are all in on it. It's supposed to be the ultimate horror experience. And him walking just obliviously through the initial, scares. When his friend gets stabbed, or, when she's pinned up with, what's her name? Ashley, when she's pinned up on the tree by the arrows.
Oh, yeah, the arrows, yeah.
Yeah, shit like that, when he's just not reacting, because like you said, he's recognizing these scenes from, they're recreating this, and it doesn't really start hitting him until he thinks it starts getting, really fucking real. And I can sympathize with that. I like that. I like that about the character. And it was kind of a meta stab at the industry itself, on the staleness of the industry. It did not do what Scream did. I think just because the money that, this did not have a major director behind it. I think this actually was his directorial debut. Was it? Wait, no. Luke Barnett. No, he worked for Funny or Die. So,
really?
yeah, not a huge director behind it. Not the most recognized cast.
Well, the director was
but,
Vincent, not Luke Barnett. Luke Barnett produced it.
Oh, Vincent Mascali. That's right.
Yeah.
Produced by Luke Barnett. That's cool. And written by Luke Barnett.
Luke Barnett was involved in this process somehow.
Yes. And so, not a big director, not a big name director. Written by a guy who at the time worked for Funny or Die, which it was comedy, it was sketch comedy. I can see why it didn't do what they probably hoped it would do. Plus, it's 2016. This movie's only 4 years old, so I think it had the odds kind of stacked against it. But it was an enjoyable film, and I like that because it was a good reflection of why humans seek out horror, why we kind of need it in our lives, and it's that either that catharsis that we need, shut out the outside world to look at something so absurdly fake that it kind of, distracts us away from what's going on. Or maybe even that live vicariously for you darker members of our audience.
Ooh.
I know I've lived vicariously through a few slasher films.
Well, and to go with how it didn't impact as big as Scream did, I think Scream was also, first of all, it was a part of its success was its timing, because 80s was the golden age of slasher, and by the time the early 90s came around, it was so played out, started getting ridiculous. So Scream got inserted at just the right time to kick it back off again to basically the second coming of slasher films. Whereas in 2016, horror has become so broad, and there's so many different types of horror films that are constantly being released. You don't have that specific one genre that it fixes on, that one genre that it reinvigorates.
Right. But they kept it tight with big name. They kept this one relevant to, I guess, probably, like you say, it's gotten so broad. How relevant is Scream or Friday the 13th or even the Saw movies to the newer generation? This movie being so new, how relevant are those movies to those people? It's like people like us, Final Destination and I Scream and Saw, that was our generation. So who are you really trying to appeal to here?
And see, that might be a thing because since those are films that we grew up on and we remember the impact of those films, whereas the newer generation, they weren't around at the time. So maybe Fear Inc. is like their Scream on that, because it did well in the film festival circuit, and I enjoyed it. It's a fun film. It really is.
It's so fun. I love the comedy behind it. That's just great. And Joe's just like, ooh, and then he just gets, ah. And he's like, okay, that was good. Ah.
Well played. Ah.
I actually killed a guy, so we're gonna have to clean that up.
fucking crazy. It's a fun little romp. I enjoyed it. I think anybody who hasn't seen it would enjoy it too. Especially Lucas Neff. If you watched him in Raising Hope, he's a blast in that one. His comedic timing is fantastic, and of course the effects in this were pretty decent. It was a decently put together little film. I wish it'd gotten a little bit more play, but it'll serve its purpose.
It does, and searching for fresh ideas. It was just a great fun watch. And so actually, I actually kind of want to ask the audience. We talked about a little bit of searching for that big scare. What scares you the most? That's what we like to know. Is there a certain type of horror film or a certain type of bad guy? What scares you the most? Let us know in the comments below, or email us at weekendhorror@gmail.com. All right, so Alex, what's the last one we have?
Last one already?
I know.
Fine. This one's actually a foreign film. It's called Let the Right One In. October 24th, 2008. I guess I didn't realize that it was that long ago. I didn't even look at the date before we watched it. This movie was directed by Thomas Alfredson, written by John Lindquist.
Oh God.
Ajvide. Yeah. Anyways,
Sure.
I'm not gonna correct you. So
the cast is gonna be the hard part. I can sympathize with Eugene on this one. Stars. I'm gonna just go with Carrie Hedbrandt, Lena Leanderson, Per Ragnar, Henrik Dahl, Karen Bergquist, Peter Kalberg. I just want to keep going because these are fun to say. Eichen Nord. All right, I'll stop there. This movie is about weird 12-year-old awkward teenage prepubescent love that is found in a vampire girl. This movie was really weird, man. You guys were talking.
Really?
You guys were talking about it. No, it's really good. This movie was great in its way. It took me like probably 10 minutes to get into it though, because I was like reading the subtitles and stuff, and I was like, how are they gonna go? But no, this movie did really good. This boy it starts crushing on this girl, and she's 200 years old, or 212 years old, I guess technically. I deduced that from the line when I can't remember what the name of the person was. It was Eli. Eli's 12 years old. She's been 12 for over 200 years, and she just moved in next door. But they kind of fall in love, and she teaches the boy how to be strong, and then a doctor lights a vampire on fire, which is pretty cool.
That was a cool scene.
Can you open the blinds? I was like, oh, suicide.
I really, really dug this. For those who don't know, it's actually Lindqvist. I think I pronounced it. John Lindqvist did the screenplay, but it's also based on his book, Let the Right One In, which was a very, very dark and violent book. And one thing I really, really dug about what made this a very, very fresh vampire tale in my eyes was that director Alfredson wanted to focus on the relationships between the characters instead of the vampire horror, the blood and the gore and the murders and shit. He wanted to tone down those elements of the novel and focus on the relationship between Oscar and Ellie, which I thought made it extremely, especially because Oscar is so young, and Ellie looks young but is obviously not young. But the profound relationship between these two, and I think that may have been what made it feel so weird for you, is because their relationship runs the gamut of boyfriend and girlfriend and mother and son.
It's super awkward, and
yeah.
I guess I was waiting for the gore and the killing, and it was just like it ended up just being a story of love. And I guess I was reading Ellie as Eli. That's now that I know it's a book, you say that way, like I want to go read the book now.
Oh yeah,
because like I mean,
and the book is a lot bigger on the vampire horror.
It's a very like well shot movie. It's a good movie. It was a hard story for me to kind of grasp onto, I guess.
There were two scenes in it that will stick in my mind. The first one was when when Oscar asked her what would happen if she enters into a home uninvited. And I really, really dug it because she can come into your home uninvited, but it's almost like it's almost like the apartment was rejecting her. Yeah. And that whole scene that got me. That was like, holy fuck. And her reaction, the actress's reaction, they're like, I've been through this before. I know what to expect. Yeah. So at one point you're just gonna yell, "You're invited! You're invited!" It was beautifully done. So what Eugene, from a filmmaking standpoint, you know how those really quick close-up shots to meet. Oh, there was a lot of really. It wasn't like zooming, but tell me a little bit about that.
So, because you have those blood spots that kind of start appearing, and I'm curious to see if they use maybe sort of like a prosthetic or something like that, or maybe like a fake, because you have like the blood starts coming from her scalp kind of thing. I wonder if they just made like a fake scalp so you can see the blood kind of start pushing in. I'm curious. I would have to look into it.
Well, there's also that from a filmmaking technique, because whereas you in America we're very, very fond of our sweeping camera motions or particular angles of that respect, but I would say that American filmmaking camera work is almost predictable. What I dug about this one is that because you have when you frame a shot, there are ways to set a scene. And so you frame your shot so that you have your principles, you have what's going on in the background, you have like this, and that could be like your framing shot. So when you're doing a wide, when you're doing a master shot, then you do your close-ups on each one of your actors. But you have your framing shot, which is like, think of the movie Heat. So what the epic scene between De Niro and Pacino? They're in the diner. Mm-hmm. And so your wide shot,
fucking movie to pick. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I know, but well, from a filmmaking technique standpoint, you have your wide shot, you have your master shot, which is the two of them profile talking in the diner, talking in the booth, and then you would go in on De Niro's face, go in on Pacino's face, and then go over the shoulder, Pacino over the shoulder, De Niro, as the emotions play out in the scene. In this one, it didn't utilize that to like we didn't see Ellie from Oscar's perspective in order to feel what Oscar was feeling. The director, Alfredson, used camera techniques which, to me, allowed us to experience our own emotions regarding what the character was going through. So we never got to be in the shoes of the protagonists. We never were in Oscar's shoes. We never were in Ellie's shoes. We were always outside of that, watching this happening to other people. And it was both voyeuristic and extremely intimate. You go ahead.
Yeah, because it makes you feel like you were there, a part of it. Because one of the things the film uses a lot is it uses a lot of older shoulders. If you notice, both of them are in the frame a lot. And it utilizes a lot of shallow depth of field, which for those who don't know, a shallow depth of field is the area that is in focus in front of your camera. So you have a lot of stuff where the foreground's out of focus, the background's out of focus, but you have the character you're focusing on is in focus. So it kind of, and when you do that a lot, it shows your character separated from the world. And it allows you to focus more on them, because a lot of the shots, they're tight, they're close. It's just the two of them going back and forth. They share the frame a lot. Even if you see a little bit of Oscar's hair while you're looking at Ellie, and then vice versa on that. So his goal was to build the relationship between the two characters. The cinematography speaks volumes of accomplishing that.
It's cool hearing it from you guys' perspective, because like that's stuff that I didn't take into consideration, but it's played out very well.
The other scene was the swimming pool scene. Because it was so explosive and so sudden, but then again, the camera's underwater, and I really want to know. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it from a filmmaking perspective, because at the end of the film, Oscar's being held underwater by the bullies, and Ellie comes in to rescue him. But the camera is under the water the entire time, because we're focused on Oscar's experience. Oscar is held underwater, so you only see what's going on, kind of like, I would say, secondary, when she's running across the water.
Oh yeah,
and something is going on, above the pool. That was a wild scene. I loved it that Alfredson did a beautiful job in both framing the story and allowing us to experience what the characters were going through. Oscar's arc, from the meek 12-year-old boy he was to this, waking up the strength within him to find his own feet. And Ellie kind of helping him along that journey, but also Ellie's detachment in the fact that she's over 200 years old and still looks like a 12-year-old girl.
God, that would suck.
And how she's been through this number of times, and how she needs people like Oscar to help her survive. And you see the transition, because her original helper got caught, and had to kill himself so that they wouldn't find her, so that the authorities wouldn't latch onto Ellie. So she's grooming the next one. So it also puts a little bit of ambiguity into the nature of the relationship. Oscar is definitely in love with Ellie. He definitely falls in love with her, but Ellie doesn't know. I don't know if Ellie loved it because she's so detached from the world that I don't know if she could love Oscar any more than she needs him. And there was some ambiguity there, the vagueness of those, because she's not human. We couldn't possibly know what she feels. And I loved that Alfredson played with these things and allowed us to experience it and allowed enough ambiguity that we could draw our own conclusions in that.
Yeah, because I like how that wasn't force-fed, because you can make an argument for either way that maybe, I mean, she's 200 years old and being a vampire, she's obviously going to have some level of detachment from humans, being her, food and everything. Yeah. But it's
the guy under the fucking train bridge. You don't weigh a thing. Be careful. I was like, oh shit.
Oh,
at that
shit.
point I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah, she still does stuff like that.
Oh, he did.
But that's what I like about this movie, because it puts an argument for both sides. Is this an actual personal, unique connection for Ellie? Is this something new in her 200 years, or is this just another one in a long sequence of connections that she's made throughout that entire time period? Like
when you've only got 100 years to live. Sorry, that song popped in my head. I was just thinking about living forever. That would fucking suck.
So this movie was remade.
Was it?
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
And unfortunately, the very, very talented Chloe Grace Moritz was attached to this. And it's the second remake that she was attached to that I felt was not necessary, which kind of bummed me out. All of the things that made this film special were missing in the remake.
Yeah, you had a remake that was called "Let Me In," and it was different. It missed the mark. And this is why I don't know why people like to take really good films that are overseas and then, we'll Americanize them. No, just have people go watch the original, because the original is a good film. Yeah. There's just not a need for that, because you can take a really good film. It's hard to make it better. If you're lucky, you get the same level, which if it's the same level, you might as well just watch the original. So
remake should be reserved for shit that's bad, because then we can fix what went wrong in the original one.
Exactly. It's like no. Like the perfect example is like Dune. I'm excited for the Dune remake because I've seen the 1984 version, and it's bad. It's such
what is in the box?
Pain. So I'm looking forward to that. But when you have good foreign films, and I like to challenge anybody who maybe isn't well versed or doesn't look for a lot of foreign film. There are a lot of good foreign films out there that are phenomenal. And yeah, okay, this one's subtitled, so check it out. It is awesome. Usually after about 10 minutes, you forget you're reading subtitles anyway.
That's true.
Yeah, you just kind of get into it. So I don't know why this movie was made. I really don't.
You could say that for a lot of different movies. Man.
Yeah. definitely stick with the Swedish one. A lot more. It was as much a love story as it was a vampire story, and the one did not water down the other one. They didn't soften the vampire violence for the love story. The focus was on the characters and in the darker sides of humanity. For Oscar, it's when, all of a sudden vampires exist, which if vampires exist, that means the supernatural is real. The supernatural is natural, which means there's a big wide world out there that he never knew existed. That opens up doors to levels of human darkness, that to the justification of human behavior, that all of a sudden this 12-year-old boy who has been bullied almost his entire life is completely and totally meek, and then all of a sudden he's got something, or he's aware of something that no one else is. I love that the focus was on that. Was the focus on the arcs of the pair, that even as a vampire 200 years old, she can still have a character arc, which I really, really dug. And plus, props go to these two actors because they were absolutely amazing in these roles.
Yeah, those are good kid actors, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely nailed it.
Turning me more into this movie. I'm glad we discussed it. I want to go back and read the book now. I mean, forget the original remake. Like, I want to go read the book. But I guess we could ask the audience what they thought of both of these. If you haven't seen them, check them out. Like you would say, and the remake was kind of but it was, go watch it anyways. It's, something to do. But the audience, let us know. Original versus the remake. Which one did you like better? Shoot us an email. wegethorror@gmail.com.
Uh-huh.
No.
JL, we got a birthday.
Yes. Sometimes I wish the audience could hear all of the things that go on behind the scenes, because the stuff that came before this will be edited out, and you'll never hear it. You'll never know. It'll be on the blooper reel one day.
Editing.
If we could release DVDs or maybe CDs, there will be blooper reels on it. Yes, fuck ups. But yes, we do have one birthday today. One birthday this week, and it's a special birthday. I love him to death. Born October 23rd, 1959. We're gonna wish a big happy birthday to Sam Raimi.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Now, this is really, really cool because we wish Sam, because this is the first happy birthday on Week in Horror that we have done twice. We've come full circle. We wished Sam Raimi a happy birthday last year. When he turned 59, he will be turning 60 on October 23rd.
You bet your ass we're going to say happy birthday to Sam Raimi.
We're going to say
again.
Hell yeah.
Happy fucking birthday, yes. And plus, in the past, we've talked a great deal about his filmography and, his works with Bruce Campbell and Rob Tappert and the Evil Dead franchise and, of course, all kinds of stuff that he's done. Hercules, Xena, Warrior Princess, we've talked about his history, but I want to make mention of two things coming up, which I think are really fucking cool. His current work on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which I think is going to be amazing, and it is said to be partially a horror film. And I think with the success of New Mutants, despite the fact that it didn't do very well in theaters because of the whole COVID situation, but on VOD it's been I think it's on VOD right now. But with the success of New Mutants as a horror movie, he's bringing horror elements to the new Doctor Strange, which I think will play very, very well. So, Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, and I think that's coming out in 2022. That's when it's slated. But then, apparently, you just can't kill him. And though Bruce Campbell is not returning, because he has retired in the role of Ash, there will be another Evil Dead film called Evil Dead Rise.
Rise.
Which Raimi is producing because he's behind all of the Evil Dead stuff. I'm very, very curious about this, but I'm so glad to see him bringing Evil Dead back. When Bruce Campbell announced his retirement from the role, it was like, oh no, who could possibly be fucking Ash anymore? I mean, who could be him? Could anybody?
I can't think of anybody at the top of my head that would fit that role.
Because we've seen Ash's entire life, from high school all the way up to, the end.
What about John Stamos?
John Stamos.
See,
fucking wild.
What I would be interested in is in the continuation of Mia. Like I would actually be kind of interested in that.
I know that there was an original plan for that to happen for basically the Bruce Campbell franchise the Bruce Campbell led franchise would continue along, and they wanted to bring Alvarez back, Fede Alvarez, to direct Evil Dead 2, and that would culminate in kind of like an Evil Dead Army of Darkness crossover where the Bruce Campbell, where Ash meets Mia, where the two of them run into one another. I think that was the original plan. But Alvarez was really put off by the critical response. The commercial response to Evil Dead to his Evil Dead was amazing, but the critical response really put him off, which is why he made Don't Breathe. And now he's got Don't Breathe 2 coming out, so he's on that train. And Bruce Campbell, obviously, he's getting up there in age. So he's retired from the role. He's still producing. He will still be involved. He just won't be Ash anymore. We did see an Evil Dead without Ash in Fede Alvarez's. I loved the fucking movie. I thought it was amazing. It's kind of like, within the universe story. So we can do Evil Dead without Ash. Sam Raimi can make an Evil Dead film with no Ash Williams in it.
You could kind of wrap some stuff up that, really didn't have to do with his character directly. You could do a continuation or you could do a standalone here. Like, there's a lot. And from reading about it, the original plan was to just take Ash out of the film altogether. But then after they revised it and they were talking to some people, they had, mentioned that maybe it was a different way. They did say it was going to be set in a city and not in the woods, though.
Interesting. So no Ash, no cabin.
It was, the Ash Williams not being in it was in an original, and then they had said that they had revised it, but they didn't give out any information.
Oh no! I hope it's not going to be in space. Evil Dead in space.
You don't want to have
the name of this is Evil.
You don't want to have the Deadites in space.
Well, that scares me because it could be Evil Dead Rise. Could be they're in rockets and they go into space.
No, they revealed the setting after the revise. You're safe, bro.
Okay, fantastic. That's good. But yeah, we got some cool stuff coming from Sam Raimi. I cannot wait for the stuff to come out. When an Evil Dead film will bring me back to the theaters. I would go to the theaters to see Evil Dead. If theaters are still around when that movie comes out. So
I would get COVID to see this movie.
Worth it.
Worth it. But sorry, that was in poor taste. Oh, that's what we're about here. We're about poor taste. So yes, a big, huge happy birthday to one of our most beloved directors, Sam Raimi. We wish you all the best.
Happy birthday, Sam. You said that in unison?
Yes, we did.
You two did. Yeah, it was great.
Jinx.
I got it in stereo.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
God damn it.
It was like the greater good. The greater good.
We are the greater good.
Happy birthday, Sam.
Happy birthday, Sam.
Oh, man. Can you tell it's late?
Definitely.
We've been recording for a few hours.
Woo! Only a few hours. Only. All right.
Hey, at least it's not a double like it was that one time.
Oh, that was rough. Oh, that was so rough.
Yeah, it was a rough night. You could tell by the end we were just anyway, so check
It
us
started
out
off strong, but that energy just was no.
We're like, oh great, we have 2 more films left.
That's when I was putting 5 movies. I was putting 5 movies per episode.
Fuck, man.
It's that is a lot. That was a lot of shit.
Where we were like, and this is another movie that has a couple of people in it. What do you think? Yeah, it was okay. Next movie.
Anyways.
Yeah, anyway.
It's been real, y'all.
It has. All right. Well, you know what? That wraps up another episode of Week in Horror. Thank you so much for listening. We could not do this without you. It would just be us talking to ourselves and just no one else around. So
you notice how much he's enunciating right now, Alex?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I love doing the closing plugs. I do.
Sir.
Please continue.
Oh, yeah. All right. If you want to find more information on us, go ahead and visit weekinhorror.net and then sign up on our email list. And then once you get on our email list, you are automatically, permanently entered into our mystery shirt drawing, where once a month we just go ahead and pass out a neat, cool horror shirt. So all of a sudden, hey, you may have a horror shirt that comes in the mail for you. Also, we are always looking for feedback, comments, questions. Email us at weekinhorror@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. Alex is always lonely. He loves reading those emails.
Please.
Please.
Can I have some more?
And then also check out our Facebook or Twitter at Weekend Horror for your daily splatter, which is just a little bit of horror knowledge every single day. What's the best way to wake up with a little bit of horror knowledge? I'm just saying. And then also check out our YouTube channel. It's our YouTube channel, YouTube at Weekend Horror, where episodes go up. The newest episode always goes up on Wednesday. Check that out. Also, we're cataloging some old episodes too, so you can go ahead and revisit a couple of those on there. So check us out on YouTube. And then if you really like what we do and you're able to, only if you're able to support us, go to our patreon.com/weekendhorror. We have several tiers, including some as low as $1, where we go ahead and give you a shout out. And then also, our Patreon gives you early access to our bloodbaths, where we use our horror expertise and take two villains and put them up against each other, or horror heroes and put them up against each other, and see who will come out on top in a battle to the death. And then also you'll get early access to our After Dark, where we have our monthly guest come in and we sit and chat on just the state of horror in general. That's it. We just go and lounge around with them. And I know in a couple of Patreon tiers, you can actually submit questions in, and we can go ahead and we can ask some of these directors and actors and actresses and all this other kind of stuff that are involved in the horror community, right? And so thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We could not do this without you. And I'm Eugene.
I'm Alex.
I'm JL.
And we'll see you next week. And as always, stay scared.